Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there, Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman?
How the hell are you?
Alrighty.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm glad you're doing all right, Mrs. Weedman.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody out in the world. Hopefully you're smoking big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to smoke a big fat doink ourselves. But before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody out there who reached out to Mr. Weedman when you found out I had COVID. Thank you for the warm, emails and DMs and everything you did. You made this old man feel very, very happy and know he has burners, stoners, and potheads around the world that appreciate and care for him just as much as Mrs. Weedman did.
That's right.
I appreciate you, Mrs. Weedman, too, so thank you.
And on a side note, he was not trapped in his basement. Nobody asked about that, but I listened back to the episode. I was like, oh my God, it sounds like he was a prisoner in the basement.
I wasn't a prisoner.
No.
I just felt trapped.
Yes.
Yes, you didn't lock me in there.
I wasn't afraid of him.
I was quarantined. I had a quarantine.
Right. We kept our distance.
Yes,
safely.
yes. But thank you, everybody out in the world, for reaching out and making sure that Mr. Weedman was doing okay. And especially everyone saying, I hope Mrs. Weedman is all right and she don't get COVID.
I didn't get it.
Keep those fingers crossed, everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed the Super Bowl. The game was good. I was rooting for the Bengals. I'm glad LA won, but I was rooting for the Bengals only because I like the underdog. But what I really enjoyed was the halftime show. And if you didn't enjoy the halftime show, I'm sorry for you, but we were in our glories like it was we were partying like it was 1990 again, boy.
It was pretty great.
It was awesome.
I still don't understand why 50 Cent was hanging upside down, but
I think a lot of people are confused about that.
I didn't get that.
Yes. And I was still confused why he was on stage.
He was just kind of
I didn't even
sleepy.
know
Like
he
his performance was kind of the
Yeah,
of
I
the whole
think
thing.
he was maybe lightheaded because of the
because he was upside down for too long. But it was overall a fun
Yes,
halftime.
it was great. Snoop was great.
great.
Dre was great. Eminem was great. Kendrick Lamar was great. Mary J. Blige was great. I'll give 50 Cent, because I do like some of his songs, I'll give him a...
It was good. He just didn't put a great show on.
Yes.
Right.
It
was fun.
Yeah, I was kind of weirded out. Like, I didn't even know he was on the lineup on the docket for that. I thought it was just all Dr. Dre's like peeps, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome. It brought me back a lot of good memories. I smoked a big fat doink and got very high during the show, and I was just dancing like. What was some of the memes that we saw?
Oh my
from
God! People like posting pictures of their parents.
Yeah.
Like parents are loving halftime. Or like if you enjoyed halftime, it's time to schedule your colonoscopy.
That was a good.
Yeah,
one.
that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
A friend of ours posted that. A couple of people posted that one, but a really good friend of mine posted that when I was dying laughing. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was a great show. I was so proud for hip hop. I was so proud for R&B. I posted on my private social media just going, hey, these are the GOATs, and a bunch of people like beat me up going, Prince was the best. I know Prince was the best. Also, Michael Jackson in 1993 was pretty badass too. There was a lot of great Super Bowl shows. No one will ever beat Prince, and I believe Michael Jackson was pretty great too. But this show that they did with hip hop and R&B was something spectacular that I didn't know if I'd ever see.
I think it was just because there were so many powerful people in that genre of music together
It was
at
great.
one time.
It was awesome.
It was sure to be good.
Don't be upset that I still think Prince, his show was one of the best ever. You know, so don't relax, peeps. Mm-hmm. It was just amazing to see hip hop on stage live like that during one of the biggest events in the world that goes on every year, and it was awesome to see. So, and they all did a great job. So, you ready to smoke?
Let's smoke.
We are smoking Fruity Pebbles. And Mrs. Weeman's going to light up. Don't burn your nose on that joint.
We have a pre-roll.
Yes. And it's called Fruity Pebbles. And it's an indica dominant hybrid. About 55% indica, 45% sativa. Fruity Pebbles is indica dominant created by breeders at the infamous Alien Genetics Cannabis Farms. This is not from them. I got this when I was out in Oklahoma. Someone gave me a little box of all different pre-rolls. The Dank Bud is a cross between a hugely popular Green Ribbon, Granddaddy Perp, ooh, I love Granddaddy Perp, Tahoe OG, and Alien Kush. Strains and boast a moderate THC level, which ranges from 18 to 21%. This one is actually, 22.58%. And Fruity Pebbles first gained popularity in SoCal in 2006 when it was first introduced. Since then, has become one of the most popular strains on the market. Users describe Fruity Pebbles High as one of the starts as a soft, strong body buzz that is mind-revealing and spacey, followed by a mild couch lock. It's cloudy, slowing things down around you, but it still leaves you with a huge, energetic high in which you are relaxed, friendly, and lethargic. I guess
How are you all those things at once?
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Friendly but lethargic.
Yes.
I want to try that.
But still functional if you want to be.
Okay.
Fruity Pebbles, but still is ideal for patients who suffer from conditions such as chronic pain, mood disorders due to its relaxing body buzz and uplifting cerebral high. The bud tastes exactly like a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, a sweet tropical berry, and smells just as good. The nugs are a light minty green with a fluffy body and blanket of resin and crystals. The most interesting feature is the coloration of the hairs that are woven through the bud. There are rainbow fusions of red and purps, yellows, and oranges. Some effects: creative euphoria, relaxing, relieves ADHD, ADD, anxiety, arthritis, bipolar disorder, chronic pain, depression, headaches, loss of appetite, stress. Some of the flavors is berry, citrus, fruity, sweet, and tropical. Some of the aromas is fruity. You smoked it. Do you feel it?
I'm sorry, but I ate a Ricola cough drop.
And it ruined everything.
And so I didn't taste anything. Tasted like a Ricola.
There you go. Well, I'm going to light up because Mrs. Weedman just smoked. And I'm going to take a couple hits off this. Mrs. Weedman, say hello to the world
Hello,
of
everybody.
weed.
So I generally don't have something to eat or, strong flavors in my mouth before I consume cannabis because you want to enjoy the taste. But I did just suck on a throat lozenge. So I don't know. I think I tasted a little bit of citrusy. I think I remember we smoked this at halftime.
Yes, and we saved the rest for the show.
And it was grapey. I remember a grapey flavor.
Yeah.
Like a fruity flavor.
It's nice. I like it. The high was good. I was trying. I was also, while I was watching the Super Bowl, I was working on the show and high as hell. And I was.
You couldn't focus.
I for a second there, for like a good 5 minutes, I was like, I don't think I can do not this. Look at the computer for a second here because I was feeling a little lethargic. So, but it's a good strain. Hopefully, we don't fall out on the show. What do you think?
I would hope so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm still curious about how you can be lethargic and friendly all at once. I mean, I guess you could be really friendly while you're half asleep.
Sure.
I don't know.
How
Let's
you doing?
see. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Hey.
Keep your eyes closed and just say hi.
Hey. Hey.
Oh, shit. You ready to start the show?
Yep.
I'm ready to start this thing.
Let's do it.
Hey, everybody. Flower, still king of the U.S. cannabis market through supremacy waning. Flower growth and pricing in 2021. Sales of cannabis flower in 2021 rose less than sales of all cannabis products in California, Colorado, Michigan, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. Flower prices were also down almost $1 per gram. Flower remains by far the most sought-after product in the U.S. cannabis market, but the dominance is slipping as other adult-use products gain in popularity. Flower prices are dropping too. Across 6 recreational cannabis markets tracked by Seattle-based Headset, California, Colorado, Michigan, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington State. I personally still think flower is my all-time fave. I like a lot of other stuff, don't get me wrong, but flower power, baby. Flower buying habits, meanwhile, are shifting. As consumers become increasingly sophisticated in a more established states markets, retailers report less of an emphasis on buying for potency in favor of other characteristics of the plant, including terpenes and minor cannabinoids. Hooray! Stuff we've been educating about. That's great to hear. According to retail sales data from the 6 states, Headset tracks cannabis flower sales grew from $4.92 billion in 2020 to $5.49 billion in 2021. Big number. But flower, and that's only in just those states. That's just what they track.
Everywhere.
That's crazy. But flower share of overall market fell. Cooper Ashley, Headset senior data analysis, noted last year 11.5% increase in flower sales was less than the 18% jump overall in cannabis sales. By comparison, sales of pre-rolls rolled from $102 billion in 2020 to $1.42 billion last year, an increase of 38.9% across the 6 states, Headset tracks. Such of edibles increased from $1.4 billion to $1.37 billion over the same time period, up 20.4%. Flower was the 3rd slowest growing product category, ahead of topicals, up 2.5%, and tinctures and sublinguals, down 7.5%. Overall prices for cannabis flower continue to slide as more production hit the market and cultivators expanded their facilities. Headset data shows the price per gram of flower tumbled through 2021, dropping 14% from $6.78 in January to $5.82 in December in 6 adult U.S. markets, the firm tracks. Man, I wish that would happen in Illinois. Obsessed with potency? According to cannabis retailers, consumer purchases of flower vary by market. On the East Coast, flower consumers in new markets continue to shop based on the amount of THC on offer, said Mike Bibby, vice president of Ethos Cannabis, which is based in Philadelphia and has cannabis retail and cultivation operations in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. Months ago, his company experienced flower shortages. Every strain the company offers sold out. Now that more product is available, consumers are picky for potency. The one thing that's consistent is the primary purchase decisions in potency, Bibby said. Flower that tests 25% THC or higher flies off the shelves, he added. As the East Coast markets mature and consumers become more advanced in their purchasing decisions, Bibby expects the potency obsessions to ebb. Of course, because of education. When educating consumers, his staff attempts to bust the myths of the high THC means good quality. Instead, bud tenders highlight terpenes, freshness, and cannabinoids. Very smart. Pennsylvania requires cannabis companies to include terpene profiles on labels. Good for you, Pennsylvania. And Bibby said that helps to educate bud tenders who pass their knowledge along to consumers. Wholesale flower prices have been falling gradually, according to Bibby. As more production comes online, he estimates prices for flower have fallen 5 to 10% from the last year. With more competition and availability, it's only a matter of time before brands become more important, he added. Mature, sophisticated. On the other side of the country, in more mature markets such as California, Colorado, flower consumers are becoming more sophisticated, said Steve Gooderman, CEO of Falcon Brands, a vertically integrated cannabis company based in Irvine, California. As markets mature and more competition comes on, the customers get more sophisticated. There's more differentiating between products, he added. That's when quality comes into play. According to Gooderman, high-end flower is less vulnerable to falling prices. Savvy consumers who are shopping for more than THC content will pay a premium for terpenes and cannabinoid content. I've always said I want something with all the cannabinoids in it. All of them. Ugh, that would make my day. Customers are increasingly sophisticated. If they want something on the high end that's been really well produced and tastes good, they're willing to pay up to, he noted. Gooderman sees high-end indoor-grown flower in California wholesaling at $1,700 to $2,000 a pound, which is slightly down from this time last year. There's a niche and high-end indoor that stayed priced higher, he added. Overall, Gooderman expects flower to remain the single biggest product category. At its core, flower provides a social experience. The other things don't, he said, adding that every other product tries to replicate the flower offers. I agree, but I also agree that cartridges, I mean, how many cartridges that before COVID that we would always share? We pull out our pen and we pass it around. I also think edibles is a very friendly experience. You can share edibles with people too. So I agree with flower, but I also agree there's a couple other products like tinctures. You ain't sharing your tinctures with somebody, stuff like that. But you're not sharing your suppositories either. Alabama. And I'm not saying the word anymore because they lost.
All right.
Or did they? Yeah, they lost. Yeah, they lost to Georgia. Know. They lost to Georgia. So I don't have to say the...
That's old news, Mr. Weedman.
I know.
I can't remember that.
THC is king of the North. Outside the United States, potent flower wins out in Canada, said Nick Skorliak, chief financial officer of Quebec-based vertically integrated cannabis company Cannara Biotech. However, some consumers are looking for quality, which includes freshness as well as terpenes and cannabinoid content on labels. The market might be shifting to a second wave of cannabis cultivators who focus more on the craft side of growing than the large companies that control the bulk of the market, he said. With continued falling prices across all categories of cannabis products, he has seen flower prices slide from a low of $2 Canadian, $1.58 a gram last year to around $1 a gram this year. Ooh. In the end, THC reigns supreme, he said. Flower testing between 29 and 30% THC will fly off the shelves, he added. If you have the highest THC, you'll beat all your competitors, he said. You can put that in a baggie and write 35% THC on it, and it'll win. I'm so proud of flower for still staying strong, and I'm a flower power kind of guy. So, but prices will drop. You're going to see more as more people get educated. As they said in that article, the East is different, the North is different. Even here in Illinois, it's different. But we are educating. Bud tenders and dispensaries are educating. Classes you can learn online, free stuff you can read about. There's so much. Learn about it. We've talked about this. So what do you want to build a house out of? Bricks, straw, or sticks? Said the three little pigs.
How about hemp?
Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
That was pretty clever.
Thanks.
I've got a cool article, The Highway to Hemp. And I will tell you, I feel really mellow and really spacey. So I have a feeling I might talk slowly.
I got my energy back.
Yeah.
Because COVID's out my body.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that weed definitely took me down about 10 notches.
Maybe I need to take like 2-3 more hits.
Like almost, it's like that kind of high where you're like, am I alive right now? Am I breathing? Hang on, I gotta feel my chest.
Mouth to mouth.
All right. Highway to Hemp. Building, making, and dreaming big with hemp fiber. Hemp-based alternative materials are popping up in everything from construction to baking. To Joe Bisogno, the founder of America's Hemp Academy in DeSoto, Kansas, hemp isn't just trendy, it's going to change the world. What other material, he enthuses, can be used to build houses, make sustainable tampons, create a biodegradable plastic, line the insides of luxury cars, or bake into something as a nutrient additive? I tell every person I know, if you're a young person and you're not involved with hemp, you're crazy. Bisogno says. It's going to be the biggest thing that has ever happened to America. Ask anyone in the hemp industry, and they'll tell you the fiber and grain side of the business is on the cusp of exploding. Earlier in the Highway to Hemp series, Flatland Digital Magazine looked at a fiber and grain processing facility in Great Bend, Kansas. Once the grain has been stripped and the fiber pulled apart from the hurd or the woody inner stem via decortication, the raw materials can go into just about anything. Since the 2018 Farm Bill, which legalized the farming of industrial hemp, hempcrete, also known as hemp lime, has quickly become a trend in sustainable construction across the nation. The concrete-like material uses a mineral base with small pieces of hemp hurd. It's relatively new to the U.S., but it has been used around the world since Roman times. Phelan Dalton, the co-founder of Hemp Building Company in Colorado, started his company in late 2019 after learning how to build with hempcrete and deciding to make a business that offered the materials and the know-how of hemp construction. For starters, hemp is non-combustible and fireproof, which is especially attractive to Coloradans like Dalton after forest fires in recent years have destroyed so many homes across the state. I'm not saying that if they were made from hempcrete that it all wouldn't have happened, but I think it's definitely time to start considering more fireproof materials like hempcrete, Dalton said. There are a plethora of YouTube videos of people torching a block of hempcrete for hours. The dense material barely even smokes under the flame.
Damn.
Hempcrete structures also retain their thermal qualities for centuries, whereas conventional insulation will sag and require replacing every couple of decades. It's also an alkaline material, meaning the walls are not hospitable to mold or pests. More than that, hempcrete is incredibly sustainable. It's made entirely out of natural materials. The inner woody hurd of the hemp stalk is broken up into wood chip-like pieces, then mixed with lime mineral binder and water to make a concrete-like material. When it's growing, hemp takes in carbon dioxide, which is then trapped in the cells of the plant once harvested. All plants do this during photosynthesis, but because hemp grows so quickly, it eats more carbon than most other plants. Once poured in place, the hemp lime also sequesters more carbon as it dries and solidifies. Hempcrete can come in the form of pre-made bricks. It can be sprayed in place or cast in place, said Dalton. That's his favorite method. While it looks like concrete, Dalton said hempcrete is not structural. This means a foundation and frame must be put in place before hempcrete, or more accurately called hemp lime, can be poured. I know a few builders that are just so used to the conventional way of construction that I guess partly they just don't have time to do training classes and rethink what they've been trained to build. And it also can be a labor-intensive building method. Right now, Dalton said hemp builds are slightly more expensive than conventional building costs. We're paying somewhat of a premium currently for the hurd, just because it's not bountiful at the moment. As we figure out proper building methods and we have more contractors to work with, I think the cost of building hempcrete houses could be cheaper than conventional stick frame houses. For hempcrete houses to become more common, it will require more farmers to grow hemp and more processing facilities to work with farmers. If putting hemp in the walls isn't enough, you can also use it on your floors. Greg Wilson, founder and CEO of Hempwood, a Kentucky-based company, is doing just that. Wilson said the first thing that most of his consumers do when they see his product is smell it. They're expecting the hemp composite wood to have the same dank smell associated with cannabis. He also tends to get asked what happens if the hemp wood catches fire, expecting him to report that the firefighters will come out stoned. Now I say, that cost extra, Wilson laughed. But that is an everyday question. Hempwood, like hempcrete, is a highly sustainable alternative to traditional building materials. To make hempwood, dried hemp stalks are fed through a roller which breaks apart the woody core and the fibrous outside. These bundles are then soaked in soybean-based, non-toxic adhesive. Wilson, whose background is in bamboo flooring, explained that traditional composite flooring methods would use formaldehyde or other toxic chemicals as an adhesive. Now coated in the soybean adhesive, the hemp stalks are dried before being compressed into 6-inch by 6-inch logs, which are then baked to activate the adhesive. The thick, compressed, and baked hempwood logs rest for several weeks before hempwood teams cut them down to flooring or other board sizes, and the final product is comparable to white oak, maple, or black walnut hardwood flooring. After several years of scaling the company, Wilson said hempwood flooring is now competitively priced at about $10 a square foot.
That's good.
Yeah. But here's where hempwood shines over traditional hardwoods. It's 20 to 30% denser than oak, which also makes it about 20% harder. Moreover, hemp grows about 100 times faster than traditional hardwood trees. Speculate all you want, but the reality is that it's not going to be cheaper than the competition out there, Wilson said. The reality is that things don't become cheaper on a dollar-by-dollar basis than something that's been around for hundreds of years. He also noted that cheaper prices or mass-produced products mean manufacturers have to take certain shortcuts or substitute natural materials for chemicals. These are all things he saw happen in the bamboo flooring industry, and he doesn't want that to happen in the hemp business. I can make my product 20% cheaper per square foot by using formaldehyde instead of soy protein for the glue, but that's not something we're willing to do, Wilson said. For Wilson, non-toxic materials are essential. His former work in the flooring industry meant he was frequently exposed to formaldehyde. Even today, his respiratory function is damaged from being around the chemicals. It's not something he ever wants to bring into his product. And lastly, you could bake with hemp. Bisogno, who I talked about earlier, decided to bring hemp to an industry he was already familiar with, food. The Good Sense founder, in addition to starting his America's Hemp Academy in DeSoto, Kansas, has also started a line of frozen baked goods, all using hemp flour. Hemp flour is made from the grain or the seeds of the hemp plant. This part of the plant does not have the cannabinoids that we are so wary of when talking about hemp. Cannabidiol, and tetrahydrocannabinol, so CBD and THC, and other cannabinoids are all produced in the flowers of the plant. Hemp grain has none of these properties. Even so, Bisogno found that in focus groups, people still didn't trust a product that says hemp. When presented with cookies, tortillas, and pizza crust labeled as made with hemp, most participants responded that they would never buy the product for their family because they didn't want to give their kids drugs.
Gosh.
The response completely different, however, when Bisogno presented the products as plant-based instead. This is an amazing product, is what they'd get from everybody. So he said, we just have to get people to understand that it's not a drug. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's going to help everyone. The baked goods look and taste similar to those baked with regular flour. Only Bisogno said these plant-powered goodies offer higher nutritional value thanks to the high protein and potassium and healthy fats found in hemp seeds. Bisogno has even had American Bakers Association seminars in his warehouse to promote hemp flour and all sorts of baking practices. But the hemp grain is quite different from other grains. It requires a special mill, making it difficult for other flour manufacturers to join the train. It's actually true for a lot of industries, Bisogno said. He's spoken with many companies that are interested in adding hemp to their products but can't afford the risk of buying the specialized equipment to do so. Then they go on. This goes on and on. They talk a little bit about biodegradable plastics. And again, it comes down to being able to facilitate the processing of the plant. It requires a lot of machinery, so it's hard to start, changing over to this process. But given that it usually takes personal financing and risk to enter the hemp industry, Bisogno said he doesn't want to see people lose their life savings by not understanding hemp. So he started his academy teaching growers, processors, and manufacturers the skills they need to succeed. We're not trying to be competitors to anyone. We're trying to be educators to everyone, he said. The hemp industry as a whole is big on collaboration. Because hemp has been outlawed for so long in the U.S., collaboration is essential for the success of anyone entering the industry. And for the industry to reach its potential, it also means more consumers need to learn to understand it. The supply chain of hemp is immature. Before hemp can become universal, more farmers need to grow it, more processing facilities need to open, and more manufacturers need to commit to using it. A lot of farmers and manufacturers are interested and want to enter the industry, but it's not a one-for-one trade-off. Hemp requires special equipment, pricey seeds, and other costs that can end up deterring things on both sides. So it will be an amazing market. But we just have to be realistic, and it's going to take time.
I believe
in hemp. I do. Oh, big
It'll
time.
Save the world.
Yeah.
I feel really lethargic right now.
Yeah, right? That was a struggle.
I took a few more hits off of that.
Why did you do that? You want to go to sleep?
I wanted to see how high I can
get.
Okay,
you just said you had your mojo back.
I'm good.
Get up.
I got it.
Get up. Get up.
Will the U.S. legalize cannabis in 2022? Big question mark. So some experts and lobbyists got interviewed by two gentlemen. I'll give you all their names. Sarah Chase, who's the executive director of Council for Federal Cannabis Regulation. Zuber Law, Tony Zuber, one of the top law firms working in the cannabis industry, and Brady Cobb, lawyer and CEO of Boma Wellness One Plant. They got joined by, they were interviewed by Javier Hassis and Elliot Lane. So let's see what they kind of asked. So in some of these questions. Step-by-step trade-offs of an incremental pathway. Zuber called the regulatory landscape confusing and said he would be satisfied with the SAFE Act passing this year. There's such a plethora, use that word too, and acronyms out there that it's hard to keep track. A new one seems to arrive every quarter, but there are a few key ones that we've been focused on. I think the SAFE Act has been with us since, Clinton was president. He highlighted that there seems to be a momentum to tackle banking reform. The SAFE Act would allow cannabis companies access to federal banking services. He added that the States Reform Act would legalize cannabis at the federal level, at least decriminalize it, and would have implications for banking and interstate commerce of cannabis. He said the big question is whether to wait for that big enchilada or try to make the milestone victory and go for the SAFE Act. Let's see. Raising the bar. If you're talking about social equity, it's going to be much more difficult for small business to access the standards of federal legalization. Cobb said, adding that it is going to be much harder for those applicants to enter the space when they got to get an FDA license to be able to conduct business as opposed to a very large federal excise tax. State Reforms Act is the most passable piece of cannabis legislation that I've seen thus so far, solely because largely the Republican caucus, on the libertarian standpoint, largely okay with state rights. Amazon and Charles Koch is support of the States Reform Act. What does it mean? So let's see what Bulma, CEO, pointed out the fact that in the election year, the Republicans did a good job incorporating cannabis regulations with what have normally been in the Democrats' camp. I think Republicans are smart enough to sense that there's an opportunity to follow both through the states' rights and libertarian principles and seize the win ahead of the midterms. Cobb noted that having one of the most powerful and largest companies in the world jumping into the cannabis fray to support legalization is a great barometer from the overall standpoint and where we are as an industry in regards to state reform acts. So, I don't know, man. Very attractive because vests most of the authority within the state-level folks. So those two, I know Charles Koch was like helping promote cannabis legalization. We all know Jeff Bezos is doing the same thing. It's big money. Like we talked about in the last episode, there's monopoly. It's going to, if we don't fight for it. But it might be the only way to get federal legalization if these big corporations kind of lead the way and spend the money. Kind of sucks, but it's kind of true what they're saying here in this article. Can we get some clarification surrounding the safe banking? Visa and MasterCard recently stated they will not support the industry until federally legal. The safe include consumer credit debit card use. Cobb explained that the SAFE Act will trigger FinCEN and Treasury to update their anti-money laundering guidance. He explained that one of the biggest problems with the cannabis, and credit card processors is that if they facilitate a transaction, they're technically triggered into a potential anti-money laundering guidance and could have some liability to those compliance departments of the banks as well as credit card companies. That's just a risk they can't take given the volume of business that they do. SAFE will trigger the review and the updated FinCEN guidance and will be what will hopefully provide cover fire for credit card processors and potentially U.S. exchanges. He advised people interested in the cannabis reform to pay attention to the SAFE Act. This was a good one, too. What you suggest regular people can do to push legalization forward. The experts concurred that although writing and calling legislators is not usually regarded as an impactful measure, it can move the curve on the Hill. Chase explained that legislators are not used to cannabis industry and they need to see and interact with cannabis workers and patients to gauge the benefits of federal legalization. Open the doors. Let them see your work. Education is the key because it will destigmatize, legitimize, and normalize this industry, Chase advised. So, we'll post this article so you guys can read more of it. There's more, there's more on the interviews but I broke it down a little bit just on the stuff that I like to read. But Mrs. Weedman, I'll post it for you guys so you can read. But very interesting. We'll see what happens in 2022. I'd like to see it happen. I know all of you out there would like to see it happen. We might still be a year or two away. We'll see what happens this year. I'm very, very hopeful and promising and optimistic about it, but also a realist.
That's good.
We do a lot of baking in this house.
We do.
We like to cook a lot of edibles in this house.
Yeah.
We did just some cannabis sugar. We just did some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Haven't used it yet.
I used it once.
In coffee or something.
Coffee. Got me a little buzzy. It was pretty nice. But
yeah.
Talk about the new one we just learned.
This is new. You can make Cannaflour. I didn't know that. So we're going to post the link to this article definitely on our episode this week. I'm not going to walk through, obviously, a full description of the recipe, but this recipe yields 1 cup, so it'll make a 1 cup recipe, and it only takes 10 minutes, so pretty cool. Cannaflour is one of the quickest ways to infuse anything you're making with cannabis. It only takes 10 minutes and can be used in a variety of dishes, from baked goods to dredging meat and anything else you crave. Unlike can of butter or can of oil, Cannaflour usually does have a distinct weed taste. If you enjoy the flavor that cannabis brings to the table, you'll love this as flour as it is, but it may be an acquired taste for some. While smoking is the most common method of consumption, cooking with cannabis opens a new world of possibilities, from creating classic stoner brownies to treats you can whip up without turning on the oven. Cooking with cannabis allows you to experiment and incorporate the plant in new ways. Your imagination is the limit in the kitchen. Edibles deliver a different kind of high than smoking, an immersive, full-body experience that will have you feeling relaxed, giggly, and even euphoric during your everyday activities. Edibles can be more work than rolling a joint. Here we go.
Stoned.
I am. But the effects are rewarding. In order to achieve this state of euphoria, you must decarboxylate your cannabis first. So, in reference to this flour, you have to decarboxylate. Decarboxylation is a process. And in this article, there's a little infographic that talks about decarboxylating.
We've talked about decarbing too.
So it's a process that activates the compounds in cannabis and turns the acidic compounds of THCA and CBDA into THC and CBD that you know and love. Decarbing your weed isn't necessary during smoking because the chemical change happens under your lighter. But when you're cooking with cannabis, decarboxylation is the glue that holds the experience together. You can decarb your weed in advance and store it in a cool, dark place until you're ready to use it. So the recipe, like I said, is going to be in a link. And making cannabis flower is one of the easiest types. Again, it only takes like 10 minutes. It's shelf stable for up to 90 days. You can make a batch. You can keep it on hand for bread, pancakes, or any other recipe.
Ooh,
I know, pancakes.
We
right?
love pancakes.
And use some can of butter on them too.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
Yeah, so you can use Cannaflour then in your next batch of brownies, your next space cookies, or whatever, cookie bars. So just swap out 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup for regular flour in a recipe, and use regular butter. Like, keep in mind, I mean, if you want to double
Unless
it
you
up,
wanna double
go for
it
it.
up.
Yeah. Tips for using cannabis flower. Use sugar leaves in your Cannaflour. These leaves are typically discarded during the trimming process since they don't smoke well, but they're great for making potent weed flower. Don't bake your marijuana flower at temperatures over 350.
That's good to know.
Yep, as this can begin to heat off some of the cannabinoids and terpenes. So that's in reference to decarboxylating, right?
Yeah, we don't go higher than 250.
Yeah. No, but if they're saying your marijuana flower, so when you bake any recipe you make, like don't bake your cookies at 375.
Gotcha.
Bake them at 350. Interesting. This is all new to me. I didn't even know that you could make Cannaflour.
Me neither. That's why it was great when I read it and sent it to
Yeah.
you.
If you don't want to taste the cannabis in the end dish, adjust your seasonings and other flavors accordingly. I will tell you, coconut oil is great because of the nuttiness, or putting nuts in
Use
your
more vanilla.
Yeah, vanilla and nuts make a big difference. They kind of meld with the cannabis flavor nicely. And only use cannabis flower that has been fully cured and dried because it could attract mold during its growth stage. So you don't want to then turn that into weed flower, weed flower. So look for that recipe.
I can't wait to you try it.
Yeah.
Illinois cannabis sales slide a little bit, but in January they still did altogether medical and rec 147 million.
Not bad.
Pretty good for Illinois. Good sales. Oklahoma governor says voters misunderstood medical cannabis ballot measure they approved. I'm going to read this because my friends in Oklahoma, I had someone reach out to me too about this and about the governor and stuff like that. Listen, I call Oklahoma the wild, wild west of cannabis because it is, and I don't want any changes. I do think there is too many cultivation centers out there and just too many dispensaries for only having so many, because you're only med and there's not enough patients. I think if you go rec, it's going to be a lot better, a lot smoother. There'll be a lot more money going into the dispensaries and the cultivators, but you still have a lot right now. But the governor of Oklahoma said on Monday that voters were misled when they overwhelmingly approved the 2018 ballot initiative to legalize medical cannabis in the state, arguing that the measure may require legislative reform. Governor Kevin Stitt said during the state address, the ballot question passed by voters was misleading, and he tied our hands as we regulate the industry. He pointed specifically to the relative low cost of obtaining a cannabis business license compared to other states, and without a cap of cannabis operators in place, he argued that the market has expanded at an unsustainable rate. I agree about the unsustainable rate, but don't change the price of people be able to start their own business. You're giving people an opportunity for $2,500 for a license to open up a business that they can get tax write-offs on eventually once the banking, but they can actually hire people and employ people. Don't change that, man. Give people an opportunity. Like I said, Oklahoma charges $2,500 for a commercial license. He said even California charges up to $181,000. Man, don't do what California does. Stick with what you're doing. You're helping people. As a result, we have 7 times the growers in California with just 10% of the people. I agree with. While fees for the California cannabis businesses can enter 6 figures depending on revenue licenses are receiving, the fee for retail making up to $500,000 in gross revenue is also $2,500. So it's not quite a white and black as the governor is suggesting. Don't change shit, man. Don't fuck it up. Next door in Arkansas, they have 8 growers. We have 8,300, the governor said. You know as well as I do, not all the products are being sold legally. How about this? Traditional market. This is a perfect example of why we need to make sure initiative petitions represent Oklahomians and not out-of-state special interest groups. Okay, I agree with that. Take care of your own in your own state. They should be able to get licenses. Don't let other people come in and take over everything. You do have a high amount of cultivators and a lot of dispensaries for not enough people. I have to agree with that. Okay? There's only a couple 100,000, maybe like 300, 400,000 patients in a state of 4.2 million people. I get it. So that means you know what you should do. Make it recreational and let the people that are in business right now make some money. Oklahomians deserve to know the details before voting to change our constitution, he said. While we can't change the past, we can learn from it and improve our future. We're getting the right leaders in place and untying their hands to enforce the laws. Have the cannabis community involved in that, Governor. Let them work with you through this. Okay, they're struggling because there's not enough people to buy their weed. Let's figure out how they can get that by full recreational. Work with them. Don't just start fucking making amendments to a law that the people wanted. Stitt said that directed law enforcement to crack down hard on the traditional market. Boo. Adding the drug cartels, organized crime, foreign bad actors have no place in the state of Oklahoma. I agree with that, though. As lawmakers in other states, particularly those with conservative leanings, have begun discussing cannabis reform in the 2022 session, there have been repeated references to Oklahoma experience, with certain policymakers citing it as an example of a regulated market that has to expand too far and too soon. Meanwhile, Oklahoma cannabis activists filed their cannabis legalization initiative last month, and they hope to place before voters in the 2022 ballot. Come on, Oklahoma, don't fuck this up. Work together, get it right. There's a lot of money to be made for everybody. It's not just big corporate entities. Let people from Oklahoma have a business, okay? Don't change the price of a license. Work with people. Grow it. Regional power company may not serve Mississippi medical cannabis growers there. The Daily Journal in Tupelo, Mississippi, Mississippi, obtained a document in which the Tennessee Valley Authority said that because it's federally owned utility company must follow U.S. drug laws. So they're saying that they're not going to give power to anybody in Mississippi who has a cultivation center because it's federally legal and they're a federally owned company. They need to get that fixed. Come on, laws. Let's go work together here. Let people not get their cannabis, their medicine, and also not let people get jobs. Increased THC percentage in hemp products sought under new congressional bill. So that's kind of cool. They should raise it. They want to raise it, I think, by dry weight basis by increasing it to 1% versus the 0.3% total THC, which is kind of cool. I think it's good. I think it should do more. Michigan court case a partial win for the testing lab in cannabis recall fight. The Michigan testing lab scored a partial victory when the judge affirmed that regulators were wrong to issue board cannabis product recall in November. However, the judge also said state authorities acted within the scope of the law. Judge Thomas Cameron of Michigan Court Claims wrote in an opinion that the Michigan Cannabis Regulatory Agency November recall of products tested by various laboratories' Bay City facility was arbitrated and without basis and could be evaluated to a substantive due process violation. The threat of irreparable harm to the reputation of the Bay City facility rising out of the recall remains and has largely been left unretributed, Cameron wrote. The judge ordered that the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency, MRA, be prohibited from further enforcing November's recall as it pertained to Veritas Bay City Lab. But the judge also gave MRA a partial victory by refusing to agree that the same was true for Veritas Lab in Lansing, which was included in the recall order. Here, the MRA identified testing discrepancies and implicated safety concerns, Cameron wrote. That's the wisdom of such a recall is or could be debatable is not enough to survival rational basis review or establish the equal protection claim. But the case is not over, however. So we'll see what happens. We'll read more once we know more about it. So hopefully things get fixed there. South Carolina Senate approves medical cannabis bill on initial vote after weeks of debate. All right, South Carolina. If you do it before North Carolina, that's impressive. Colorado set a sales record in 2021. State officials say $2.2 billion in cannabis purchased in 2021. Woo! Woo! I think it's like 6.5 million people in that state. Good lordy. New York is clamping down on businesses offering cannabis as a gift because it's free, not free, but it's free to smoke now anywhere you want in New York, and recreational hasn't started yet. It's not fully there yet, but you were able to gift weed, and some stores were starting to give out recreational cannabis and just giving it away, and New York's trying to put a stop to that. I don't know why, but it's kind of cool to get some free weed. New York, don't fuck it up. New Jersey, the place I was born, set to miss deadline for legal adult use cannabis sales. Come on, Jersey. Get your shit together. February 22nd is the self-imposed state deadline to open adult use recreational cannabis sales, but cannabis industry insiders said, like other deadlines, it won't be met. That sucks because there's a lot of weed that's been grown and ready for sale, and all that weed's going to go bad. Figure it out, Jersey. Get your shit together. Come on. My home state. Let's go. Ohio cannabis legalization will have to go on the ballot if it's going to pass, Ohio Senate president says. Well, we'll see. Come on, man. Let's go. Get it on the ballot and let the people make the choice.
Whoa.
What's the difference between a Michigan stoner and a California stoner?
Uh-oh. This is, now you're like up.
Yeah.
Did it wear off?
No, I'm still high as fuck.
That's crazy.
Baked. But I can't move my body.
We're on the roller coaster ride.
Yeah, a huge
right?
roller coaster.
Yeah.
Maybe a little loop-de-loop in there.
Yeah, a little
So what's the
loop-de-loop.
difference?
Michigan stoners love strong weed. That's the difference. They love weed that's even stronger than California stoners. Yeah, no joke. California may have the largest legal weed market in the entire United States, but Michigan stoners apparently love to get more lit than their California compatriots. According to a new industry report by cannabis delivery service Ease, high-potency pot is more popular in Michigan than in California. Ease arrived at this conclusion by comparing sales data from these states, which happen to be the two markets where it currently operates. The report found that the largest percentage of high-potency cannabis sales were made in Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, and Detroit, three of the most weed-friendly cities in Michigan. Sales data alone can't explain why Michiganeers love high THC weed so much more than Californians, but Ease believes the weather may have a lot to do with it. The Golden State is almost always drenched in sunshine, so there's plenty of opportunity to be outside and enjoy nature year-round. But Michigan's icy winters mean hibernation time for many residents, and the pandemic has made socializing even more difficult. So if you're stuck indoors for months on end, why not get blazed as humanly possible? Yeah, right? We also saw that there were more sales of concentrates and high-potency flower in colder months, said Elizabeth Ashford. That's Ease's vice president of communications and public affairs. She said to the Metro Times, so winter weather may have something to do with it. The report also found that high-potency concentrates were way more popular among young cannabis enthusiasts. Gen Z stoners bought more high-grade wax and shatter than any other age group, although millennials came in at a close second. But when it comes to flower, baby boomers actually bought more high-THC bud than any younger generation. Raw flower was also most popular purchased among men, while women tended to go for edibles and pre-rolls. The younger cannabis lovers are also more willing to buy weed.
Do you think women go for pre-rolls because it's more convenient? And they could put it in their purse or they could put it in their backpack? Or
I don't know how to roll the joint.
Right. We know how to stuff a joint.
Right.
But roll, we're still trying to learn.
And we never try. We just buy pre-rolls.
No, we stuff.
Or we buy papers.
We stuff our joints.
Yeah. Younger cannabis lovers are also more willing to buy weed from minority-owned businesses, according to the report. In 2019, Ease set up a social equity partner program, creating a separate menu of legal weed products exclusively sold by businesses who had received social equity licenses in California. And although many municipalities have been slow to embrace these programs or struggled to meet their diversity goals, Ease still sold nearly $10.6 million worth of weed from social equity businesses since the program began.
Awesome.
I think that's very cool.
Awesome.
The percentage, because if you don't want to ask all the questions and the information's not out there, people miss it, right? So if they make these little programs that promotes and makes it very clear where the minority businesses are that you can support.
I think it's great.
The percentage of social equity sales has been growing too. Last year, the program made $6.5 million in sales, a 72% increase over 2020.
There's money in it for everybody.
These sales were largely driven by Gen Z and millennial shoppers, while Gen Xers and boomers seemed less interested in the program overall. Michigan also has its own social...
Those damn boomers.
Michigan also has its own social equity programs to help minority businesses gain traction in the legal weed industry. But Ease will not be launching its partners program in that state until later this year. There's a lot of conversation about the necessity for social equity licenses and the purpose and value of them, but there hasn't been a lot of information about them once you get them into the market, or whether or not that narrative and background matters to consumers, Ashford told Metro Times. These licenses have a material impact on the businesses that are granted them, and this is about building wealth for people who are hurt by the war on drugs over time. So that is all good news.
That's great news. Good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. International news, South Africa to fast-track cannabis industry regulations, president says. A master plan to kickstart the sector was introduced last year, but little progress has been made since. South African president says his government will speed up cannabis and hemp regulations given the huge potential for investment and job creation. Our people in the Eastern Cape and elsewhere are ready to farm with this age-old commodity and bring it to market in a new and innovative forms, he said at Cape Town City Hall. The cannabis and hemp sector has the potential to create more than 130,000 new jobs, he noted. Great for them. We are there for streamlining the regulatory process so that the hemp and cannabis sector can thrive like it has in other countries. And he's pretty friggin' pumped up about it. So good for South Africa. Keep on going, man. Keep on going. Keep on going. Do you realize cannabis use in Greece among the highest in Europe? I have a lot of really close friends that are Greek, and they fucking smoke some weed. So I believe that 100%. Cannabis use in Greece's capital, Athens, is among the highest in Europe, according to the Greek professor who spoke to a national broadcaster, ERT, on Tuesday. Nikos, oh, my Greek friends, please don't beat me up. Tamadias, professor of analytical chemistry at the University of Athens, said that Athens ranks 5th or 6th in Europe, according to Westward analysis data provided by Greek authorities to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs. He said cannabis use dropped in the first phase of the lockdown from March 2020 to September 2020, as in other European cities attributed to the absence of trafficking. Traditional market. In Athens, we saw an increase in use from October 2020 to March of 2021. In March 2021, we had quite high use, which corresponds to about 10% of Attica's population, he stated. Cannabis use increased in the winter and decreases in the summer, according to the data the professor said. Cannabis in Greece is illegal for recreational purposes, just so you all know that. Cannabis in Greece is illegal for recreational purposes, though the law is not very strict or limited to personal use. In 2017, the Greek government legalized the use of cannabis for medical purposes, and a year later, they lifted the ban on growing or producing it. Man, that's awesome. I want to go to Greece, smoke with all my Greek friends. Cannabis company seeking Colombia's approval to study COVID-19. Flora Growth Corp submitted an application to Colombia regulators for researching whether a cannabinoid-based product can help prevent COVID-19 infections. The Flora Group is seeking approval. The study will be conducted through Flora's research division, Flora Pharma, which formulation taking place in good manufacturing practices, certified Colombian lab. The company said the research will look at all the potential mechanisms of cannabinoids and preventing infection from the COVID-19 virus. That's awesome. So good for Colombia. Good for the Flora Pharma researching this to build upon progress and generate new data for how cannabis could help consumers around the world, leveraging this natural botanical alternative. Ooh, good wording. He said in a press release, "We are honored to receive the advice and guidelines from them, and as we begin this exciting research process, the Flora Pharma division seeks to obtain evidence to support this product use against SARS-CoV-2 and bring to market an effective cannabinoid-based product." Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Dash cams.
Yeah.
Kind of fucking crazy, huh? This fucking article was great. Mm-hmm. And that's why I gave it to you so I could laugh. Mm-hmm. But this fucking dumbass, man.
Mm-hmm. We have a article. This is pretty funny. Dash cam footage shows a disgraced Texas trooper vaping confiscated marijuana.
He's a super trooper.
Super trooper. He's a super...
duper dope.
Stoner. What a dope. A disgraced Texas trooper was caught on his police cruiser's own dash cam vaping confiscated cannabis, according to newly released footage. The video is from 2019, but only just came to light after the lawyer repping several drivers who were stopped by the same state trooper near Wichita Falls sought evidence against the officer.
Damn fucking trooper was stealing people's weed.
Many people, right? The public should find it abhorrent at any time there's a breach of public trust, said Fort Worth lawyer David Sloan. We place people in the position of trust when they enforce the law. Chad Hardin, the now former trooper with the Texas Department of Public Safety, was caught on camera inhaling pot from a vaping pen he'd just taken from a suspect, according to the video. "I accidentally inhaled THC, as stupidly as that sounds," Harder later admitted to an investigating officer, according to audio on the footage that Sloan posted on YouTube. "I felt it fill up my lungs. I pushed it out as fast as I could." I felt it filling up my lungs. That's called inhaling. Hardin claimed. "I didn't mean to inhale it." Hardin was suspended in June of 19 when he came under an investigation by the Texas Rangers and resigned from his job 3 months later, the local Times Records reported. It wasn't immediately clear if the vaping video was part of that probe, but the ex-cop was ultimately charged with tampering with evidence and copped to a plea deal this past August that landed him 2 years probation, the outlet said. Meanwhile, Sloan said the marijuana possession charges against his clients were dismissed. None of them were involved in the vaping video, he said. Several additional criminal cases involving Hardin's testimony have been tossed too. What a dodo.
I'm going to say it like this. What a fucking gagoots.
Jeez. Wow.
What a fucking gagoots. Oh my goodness. I don't know if anybody knows Twitch. I am on Twitch every once in a while. A bunch of Paulie's friends are on there and I watch them game every once in a while. It's not I do it. It's not my thing all the time. I rather play video games than watch someone play video games. I just don't get it. It's like kind of watching sports. I'd rather play sports than watch sports, but Twitch says cannabis-themed usernames are exempt from new ban, just like alcohol and tobacco. That's cool. The major video game streaming service Twitch says it's cracking down on some unsavory usernames, but people whose handles reference cannabis are chill. Mine is up there, Weedman 420 Chronicles. So yeah, it hasn't been taken down. The policy update was announced on last Thursday, which Twitch saying that it wants to be the kind of place where everybody feels at home and people don't face harassment or hateful content. People can feel right at home if users' name reference alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis, but not for other so-called hard drugs, the update says. The policy seems to align somewhat with the new position that Amazon, which owns Twitch, I didn't know that, has taken toward cannabis in recent months. Well, there you go. The user policy page for Twitch goes into further detail on what's allowed and not allowed with respect to drug-related references. So no DMT plus me. I guess that's not going to be allowed. References to hard drugs, recreational drugs, and drug abuse, with the exceptions of alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis. Explicitly referencing recreational drugs or psychoactive substances such as peyote. Explicitly referencing hard drugs, including cocaine or heroin. Orderly glorifying the abuse of prescription of harmful drugs, including practices such as inhalant abuse. While it's not exactly clear why any specific drug references would contribute to the culture of harassment on Twitch, advocates are encouraged to see a massive platform carve out an expectation for cannabis alongside alcohol and tobacco, considering the cannabis remains federally illegal, even if it's been increasingly legalized at the state level. It's also not clear why it specifically cited a psychedelic cacti peyote as an example of a psychoactive substance that can't be referenced in a username. You could use buttons, though. Marijuana Moment reached out to Twitch for comment, but representatives was not immediately available. As noted, Twitch is an Amazon-owned company, and Amazon has been making headlines for adopting more progressive policies around cannabis drug testing, as well as publicly supporting congressional bills to end prohibition. But also, logistically banning cannabis references in usernames sounds like it would be more trouble than it's worth. Any person familiar with online gaming knows that 420 is a hallmark of the gamer username lexicon, for example. In a blog post about the policy update, Twitch emphasized the usernames really matter on its platform. They're your textual avatar in chat and crucial piece of channel branding for creators. Usernames are searchable and have site-wide visibility, it said. Given their usage across Twitch channels, we believe that we must be held to a universal and higher standard than other places people express themselves, like chat, for instance. Although we removed many reported offensive usernames under our current policy, we believe establishing a stronger standard is needed to cultivate a diverse, inclusive global community on Twitch, it said. I think that's awesome. I mean, I like Twitch. Like I said, I'm not like an everyday user, but some of Paulie's buddies go on and I watch them stream just to help them get some uplift on their thing. So it's kind of cool, though, if you're young. A lot of people are making a lot of money on Twitch, too. Like some streamers making some like big money. Like people like will give them like $2 or $5 to join their channel and like donate while they're playing and stuff. I've seen it before. I'm like, man, getting
For
like
what?
I don't know, just to support.
Something to do,
I guess. You know, I mean, when you're 12 years old and you're watching a streamer who you Twitch player play a Halo, Infinite, and they like him and they throw him $2 here and there because he's killing it and he's talking with them, and
it all adds up.
Well, they talk too, I mean, you can interact on the chat and they will chat with you. They won't actually type, but sometimes they do. But they basically just talk with you. Like if you say something on the chat, like, "Hey, what's up, Weedman 420 Chronicles? How you doing?"
Are people watching to learn how to play a game better?
Some just watch because they support a professional game player that has like a huge Twitch following that they like to enjoy watching him just like fucking sweat, like. he's a sweaty, so they'll watch him sweat. And,
Sweaty?
Yeah, that means you're really fucking good. If you don't know that out there, being a sweaty or sweating, you're just killing it out there. I'm not a sweater. I can play Halo. Still trying to get the Diamond 1. I'm almost there, but got 100. I'm at level 100. So I do play. I do game. I am a gamer. I'm a nerd. I like anime. I like video games. I'm just a complete nerd when it comes to it, and I grow good cannabis, and it helps me play video games. But actually, talking about growing, since we still have a little bit here, I am on my new grow. I am growing Strawberry Kush Breath by Cannaflour Genetics. This has been a tough grow for me, and it's very hard in this house because to moderate the humidity level, and I have a nice humidifier in there, and it's still not keeping it where I want it at. And Mrs. Weedman and I have been fighting here and there and bantering about keeping the temperature.
Every time I walk past the thermostat, he turns it down. I'm like, I'm not going to walk on.
It makes my tent too hot.
What's more important, me or the plants, Mr.
Babies.
Weedman?
The babies are
I'm
important.
cold. My nose is dripping. I'm freezing.
Mine is too. But
my toes are numb.
I'm using a different soil that I've never used before. And my friend Earl 217 West recommended it. I'm trying something organic. It's Sohum Living Soil. And when I was in the beginning, I think I watered it a little bit, so the soil was very wet. So I'm learning. And now the soil's been really dry, and I've been trying to keep it wet because I have both lights on. It's been an experience, this grow, because I'm using a different soil. I'm learning, but I'm excited that one of the plants is really starting to really blossom. The other one is still not going. But they're only... Since germination into the first stage, I just hit veg, so I'm in like my first week of veg stage. So I guess I'm being a little impatient, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just think it's just in the wintertime, I might have to add another humidifier in there to get that up to like where I want it. It's not where I want it to be, and learning this soil. Because it does hold water a little bit, I've noticed in the middle, and I don't want to overwater it and kill the roots. So it's a learning curve. This grow has been troublesome. My last 4 grows were great. I was able. I used a different soil. I was a newbie, and I still think it's pretty good soil, but I've heard differently. I was using Fox Farms. I was using the Ocean Grown, and then I was mixing it with perlite and cocoa. So and it grew well for me. I know a lot of people don't like that brand. It grew my cannabis great. So this one's just a struggle. I'm learning. So good thing I got 10 seeds from Cannaflour Genetics. I lost 2. One didn't germinate, and the other one just didn't make it. So out of the 4, I got 2. I don't want to use any more of those seeds, only because I don't want to. If I ruin them, I'll be upset. I want to learn how to use this soil better. I should have used one of my first strains that I got from a friend of mine that I got a shit ton of seeds from, and that was the berry white and the lemon berry. I should have tried it with those first because I have a ton of those, and just a trial. And I spent some good money on those Cannaflour Genetics beans. So it's a learning curve. I'll probably be reaching out to Wes soon here just to see in the next week or two, let him see how the plants are doing. But like I said, it's a growing. I'm enjoying it. They're my babies. It got me back in my zen because I hadn't grown since when I harvested back in January. So it's my zen. I'm still enjoying it. When I had COVID, that helped me out a lot, checking those babies out like on the hour. So get my mind nice and clear. So, but I'll keep you guys all informed. I'll post some pictures in a couple weeks once it starts growing and see how it goes. So I'm looking forward to trying this strain, and here we go. So hey everybody, Mrs. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman.
got anything else to say?
No.
Strain was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Definitely mellow.
Yeah, it was good. Got me wound up, though. I don't think I'll smoke that tonight for bed, though. I'm going to go back to that purple gelato. That's some good stuff right there.
That's good.
I need to fly to Oklahoma and get me some more. Hey, everybody around the world, thanks for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check us out on Weedman 420 Chronicles on Instagram. Thank you for all the DMs and pics and everything. I love it, man. My friends out there, I love you to death. Check us out on Twitter, Weedman 420 Pod. On TikTok, Weedman 420 Chronicles. Email weedman420chronicles@gmail.com. On YouTube, Weedman 420 space Chronicles on YouTube. And thanks everybody for subscribing on there. We really appreciate you all. Hopefully you like the anime. We love it. We get a lot of people telling us how much they like it. And thanks for giving us some comments and sending us love. I love it. Keep on going. Keep on sending us. I was telling Mrs. Weedman the other night, and I'm baked, everybody. I'm talking more, and I'm sorry, but I got one last thing to say. I was talking to Mrs. Weedman the other night. We were talking about social media, and we were talking about influencers and you know, and how many people follow them in the millions and hundreds of millions and whatever, but they don't follow anybody. And maybe they follow 100 people or 50 people or maybe none. I don't, it just the way it seems. I follow everybody that follows me. And here's why. Because it's a community. And to me, cannabis is our community. And if you're going to follow me, I'm definitely going to follow you and see what you're doing, see what you're growing, see what you're smoking, you know, and because it's a community to me, and I appreciate you following me and listening to us and talking with Mrs. Weedman. And Mrs. Weedman's been DMing people and emailing people back when we get them, which is great. So you might get something responded from her. If you ask about her, I'm going to give her the phone and say, hey, say hello to them. They're asking about you. So to me, it's a community, and I want to thank you all. And I will always be your friend. I will always be your burner. I will always smoke out with you if I see you. I will always give you a nug if you need one. I'm here, and reach out, you know, and I appreciate it more than you know, because we started this at nothing. I wasn't a movie star. I wasn't a sports athlete. I wasn't a newscaster. I wasn't somebody famous that already had a bazillion followers that started a podcast. We started this podcast with nothing. Like nobody. I'm listening to myself in the beginning, you know? So to me, I appreciate you guys. You don't know how much I appreciate you, everybody, people out there in the world that reach out to us and talk to us. It means a lot. It humbles me every day that you even like me. You might love Mrs. Weedman. So, but I appreciate you all out there more than you know, and it humbles me. And thank you for reaching out when I was sick. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.